Hey everybody, welcome to D Bronx Podcast. We have been out for a few weeks. My name is Austin. I'm joined here with Ian.
What's up?
How you doing, man?
Chilling, man. Chilling. Late night, but
No,
still chilling.
no, no Kevin this week. This is kind of our edition that we'll be just talking about where the Broncos are at. They've hit a 4-game losing streak with a pending matchup this week and against the New England Patriots. So. We've kind of been out of commission, been doing, myself, I've done some traveling and gotten into a busy schedule with, at work. We're very short-staffed right now. So, apologize for that, but we are not completely out of the loop, as it were. But we are depressed, sad, angry, probably as any Broncos fan is right now, given the situation.
Of course.
4 straight losses.
Yeah, it's
I don't even know where to begin. I mean, 4 straight losses. It's looked to be the same culprits pretty much week in and week out.
offense. Pretty terrible.
What would you? I think most of it's obvious, but let's dig into it a little bit. What would you say is the main issue that we've been facing?
Same as was last year. Offensive line, injuries to the offensive line, poor quarterback play. Simeon did serviceable for a while. Tried to be too much of a put the game on my shoulders kind of dude, and that's not really his game. He hasn't grown into that, and I'm not sure if he has the complete skill set to grow into that yet. So, just a couple of those, those passes where, like that one that just glaringly comes out to me is that one where he could have run for the first down, but he threw across his body. That was the game against, not the Eagles, but what was the game up before the Eagles?
I believe that was Kansas City.
Yeah, the one right before, with Kansas City where he threw across his body. And it was just nowhere near the receiver, and he could have ran the 11 yards for the first down.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He definitely could have. He was trying to do too much.
Yeah,
trying to make up where. You and I have talked. We've my stance with this whole situation. Casual fans are always going to blame the quarterback. Above all else, they're always going to blame the quarterback. Say it's the quarterback's fault when the offense isn't producing.
Yeah, I don't even know if is it poor play calling, or is it poor execution, or is it a mixed bag of both?
I'm sure there's a little bit of both. To me, most glaring issue is the offensive line with or without injuries. I mean, Watson is an absolute turnstile at right tackle. I mean, the dude is, I think, the absolute worst rated tackle in the league.
Well, he's going to be a turnstile.
In pass protection.
He's a turnstile on the IR now.
Yeah, he's been, he came back last week. You realize that, right?
Yeah, but then they just put him on the IR like this week.
Yeah. But, is that even a bad thing at this point? I mean, like I said, having the absolute worst tackle in the league.
Yeah, you might as well just
in terms of pass protection. In terms of pass, he's been
good with run.
Pretty decent in run blocking.
Oh yeah, he was.
But in pass protection, he's been the worst I've ever seen potentially.
Yeah, I've seen pass catching tight ends pass block better than him.
Oh, running backs pass block better than him.
Yeah, I know, dude.
Dude, Jamal Charles is a small guy, and he pass blocks better than Manel Watson. It's embarrassing. And
I know 7-year-olds to pass block better than him.
I mean, it doesn't matter if it's Osweiler or Simeon. I mean, it doesn't matter who it is that's back there. They have pressure in their face within 2 seconds on virtually every play.
Agreed. And you see what happens.
Virtually every play.
You see what happens to great quarterbacks that have a crappy offensive line. Aaron Rodgers.
Oh yeah.
Broken collarbone 2 years, not in a row, but he's had 2 different collarbone breaks. So I mean, it's just a matter of time before You saw what happened to Lynch in the preseason. You saw what happened to Simeon last year. You saw what happened to him this year. He could have he could have broke his collarbone in any one of those tackles where he landed on his shoulder. He
Oh, I
didn't.
know. And you see guys. I mean, even aside from the injury concerns and the injury risk that there's obviously the injury risk, but you see guys like Philip Rivers and Drew Brees and guys who either are considered or have been considered elite. You see them and how bad they can play when they don't have an offensive line that's performing well. So, what is this expectation that Simeon should have been performing so much substantially better when he didn't have an offensive line? And if you'll give me this little bit of time to rant here, I know that you've heard this already, but it's just baffling to me that now this is not to take all blame away from Simeon, because Simeon, for at least 4 of those 5 losses, did not play well. I mean, I'm not gonna try and make the argument that Simeon played well. That's not the argument that I'm gonna make here.
Right.
But I'm gonna make a different argument.
Okay.
We're playing Osweiler right now. He played absolutely terrible, maybe even worse than Simeon.
Right.
This past week against the Eagles. Under 50% completion, 2 interceptions, and what I saw should have been 2 additional pick sixes. And what's worse is he's performing that bad when the Eagles' pass defense is average at best, and he had Sanders back, and he wasn't attempting very much beyond like 7 yards. So Simeon was trying to take over the game. Osweiler was not trying to take over the game and still played that bad.
Right.
But I look back at their histories, okay? Osweiler, he had those, games that he started for us back in 2015. He played okay in those games. He didn't play bad most of the time, but didn't necessarily play great either, He did what he had to do. The defense, as we know, that whole season, the defense won those games and won that whole season for us. And he was wildly ineffective in the last 2 games, I think, that he played that year, which is why as soon as Peyton Manning was healthy, we brought him back in.
Yeah, that last game against Kansas City.
Yeah, and it's not like Peyton Manning had performed well that year anyway, and we still decided to go back.
It was
to him.
statistically his worst.
So there was, I think there's a misunderstanding of he led us to a 5-2 record. Yeah, no, the defense led us to a 5-2 record. And so he had those games where he played okay, not terrible. And then he got his big contract, went to Houston, played consistently terrible the whole year, getting benched on multiple occasions.
Other than a couple throw balls to Will Fuller, really, that's it.
Yeah, and he got benched multiple times, had a better offensive line than we have, and had, DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller, those guys.
Got benched for Tom Savage.
And still played consistently terrible the entire year, to the point where they cut him loose after 1 year after signing a huge contract, and they literally were doing anything to get rid of his contract. Goes to the Browns, right? Goes to the Browns. Can't beat out Deshaun Kaiser or Kevin Hogan.
Yeah.
Okay? Can't beat out either one of those guys, so they cut him. They cut him even though they're still going to be paying him. They will pay him
16.
to not be on their team.
Yeah, they just paid him what was it?
They're literally
over
like,
$1 million?
we will pay you to leave.
They paid over $1 million.
No, they paid him. Yeah, they paid him. It was more than that. I don't remember what the amount
to
was.
play last week. They're gonna do the same thing against the Patriots.
But anyways, again, I'm just kind of ranting here, and I just need to. Feel like I need to make this point. They're literally paying him to not be on their team. They could keep him on the team and pay him, at least get something out of him. But they're like, no, we don't want him at all. So we sign him. He's our backup. We put him in for a, ineffective Simeon. Simeon had been ineffective those, at least 4 of those 5 games, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. You look back, and I just kind of described Osweiler's history. You look back at his history as a starting quarterback, and he has little to no successes at all. He has been consistently bad his entire career, and we're starting him.
Yep.
We look at Simeon. You look at his numbers over the course of his first 16 games.
Mm-hmm.
His numbers completely blow out of the water guys like John Elway in his first year, Peyton Manning in his first year, Jameis Winston. I mean, guys who Carson Wentz, guys who are either franchise quarterbacks and always have been, or are becoming franchise quarterbacks. He played, in terms of his numbers, substantially better through the first 16 games of his career than those guys. As a 7th round pick, won the job with 2 different coaching staffs who were giving every opportunity to the first round pick in Paxton Lynch. Still won against all odds. And again, 16 games in his career. He played 14 last year, and then I'm including the first 2 of this year. 16 games equals obviously a full slate, full season.
Mm-hmm.
First 16 games of his career, his numbers are substantially better than a lot of elite Hall of Fame guys. And because he's had this bad streak, we're done with him. We're done with him. We want to go to Osweiler, and then we want to go see what we have in Paxton Lynch, who, again, has lost the competition to him twice. We want to go see what we have in Paxton Lynch, and we want to play Osweiler in the here and now. And that just doesn't make sense to me because, again, Osweiler's had a bad career. He's been consistently bad his whole career. And yet, we're turning to a guy who's always been bad versus a guy who's been historically good, but is having a bad streak. And instead of letting him learn from that streak and progress, we're saying, hey, we're kind of done with you. You're gonna be gone next year. I mean, that's what everyone's saying. He's gonna be gone. He's not the guy. And I just don't get it because if he was a first-round pick, you see how bad Peyton Manning played his first year.
Yeah.
Just using him as an example, but they stuck with him. Led him to a terrible record. I mean, I think he was like 25 or 28 picks that year. I mean, just an absolutely atrocious year for a starting quarterback. But they stuck with him because he was a first-round pick. Now, Simeon was a 7th-round pick and played much better. But because he's had a streak of 4 bad games, everyone's done with him. So it's like the expectations for a 7th-round pick seem to be substantially higher than the first-round pick, and I get it because there's the money commitment to the first-round picks.
That's it.
But here's the thing: you could stick with a guy. You could stick with a guy who has showed a lot of promise in his so far short career. You could stick with the guy who has showed a lot of progress. Obviously, some bad spots like these last 4 games. You could stick with the guy who showed a lot of progress, who is also the lesser paid guy, which would free up salary cap space for other positions such as the offensive line. But instead, you want to ditch him because of 4 bad games out of 21 and say, let's go to the Osweiler, who has never played well, and then we'll see what we have in Paxton Lynch, who has lost 2 consecutive quarterback battles to Simeon.
Right.
It's absolutely ludicrous to me. You look at the game against Kansas City as an example. Again, just like the rest of the games this year, with the exception of the first 2, just like the rest of the games this year, no time in the pocket, absolutely no, no time to throw, guy in his face every play. So he starts trying to do too much, and that's to me it started getting into his head. He started feeling like he had to take over the game because nobody else was doing it. Now at this point of his career, he doesn't have the ability to do that. That's not him. He's a guy who plays very well, but he's not going to take over a game like Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady. You know, those guys. You know, to expect that from Simeon,
different skill set.
A different skill set, and to expect that from Simeon at this stage of his career is absolutely ridiculous. And so he tries to take over the games. He tries to do too much, and you see it led to bad decision making and some bad plays, bad interceptions, and I'm first to admit that he did not play well those games. But you also look at the Kansas City game. There was 2 additional touchdowns that he threw that were not caught. You see the one to Benny Fowler is the most obvious one that was literally dropped in the end zone
Yeah, it was pretty
when
bad.
it hit him directly in the chest.
Yeah, it was bad.
That's number one. And remember, we were in that game almost until the end. So these 2 touchdowns could have made or break the entire game.
We should have won that game.
Yeah, and the second one it wasn't a perfect pass, but more than catchable. Was the one where Andy Janovich goes up the sideline on a wheel route.
Yeah, it was.
Simeon sees it open. He throws it. Janovich looks back. He can't find the ball because he's not looking high enough up. The ball goes over his head. If he put his arms up, probably catches the ball. At least has a very good shot at catching the ball.
Yeah.
Instead, the ball falls out of bounds, and we end up, I think, kicking a field goal. And obviously that ended up costing us. So there's 2 touchdowns that he didn't get because of his receivers. And then I think there was about 6 or 7 additional drops throughout that game, many of which that would have led to first downs.
No.
And then there was also the play with Emmanuel Sanders that was a catch and a fumble that they didn't challenge. So you look at all these things, and how could you not start to get it into your head that you need to take over the game? Because you're getting absolutely no help from anywhere. Anyways, I mean, rant pretty much over. I just think it's absolutely ludicrous. Simeon has put together 16 solid, great to build upon games in his career, but because he's got 4 or 5 bad ones, everyone's ready to cut loose and move on. It's absolutely stupid, and I will call any Broncos or otherwise, any fan of the Broncos or any other team is stupid for not seeing that, or you're just a casual fan that only listens to the media. Now, of course, I'm not going to say that Simeon's been perfect. He has not been perfect. But to say that what he's provided is not a huge amount of positives to build upon, I think that would show that you probably, if you think that you probably don't know much about football and don't know much about how an offensive system works. But I'm not going to get into that, obviously. So, anyways, I'm sorry. Rant over. That's been just on me for weeks, and it's continuing this week because we got to suffer through the Osweiler show another week against the Patriots. So, anyways, I just think it's ludicrous, and I'm not saying and with this whole Simeon situation, he's the best guy we have. I'm not saying don't continue looking for a guy who may be better. I'm not saying don't look in the draft or don't see if, like a Kirk Cousins potentially becomes available. I'm not saying don't look for a quarterback anymore and put all your eggs into Simeon. But with the current crop of quarterbacks that we have, given that current crop that we have, he should be the guy that you have your eggs in, you know what I mean, so to speak.
I agree.
He's a guy that you should be. Again, he's not going to have perfect games all the time. He's going to have these bad games, bad streaks, because he's a young guy. He's just like Peyton Manning or whoever else you want to. I mean, Carson Wentz started the year out hot last year and then played terribly the rest of the year.
Wow.
So it doesn't mean that they were ready to bail on him. And look at him now. I mean, this is just absolutely ludicrous how fast people want to bail on him because he wasn't a first-round pick. And it just irks me to no end. Anyways, I'm sorry. Do you have anything to say or to add to that? I'm sorry for taking up so much airtime there.
I mean, I don't think there's a quarterback on this team right now that's going to be there next year. I mean, honestly, it's... I don't even know how many people are going to be there on the offense. It's that whole offensive unit is just so inept. Can't catch the damn ball. That's what you do. Thomas drops balls. Fowler drops crucial balls in the end zone. Not the first time he's done it this season. Mm-hmm. I mean, Osweiler, why would you throw a 50-50 ball up to...
It wasn't a 50-50 ball. There was 3
Philadelphia
Eagles in the area that were being thrown to a 5'8" guy. I don't know his actual height.
50-50 ball. He's 5'7".
Is he 5'7"?
5'7", 5'8". We're around that same area. Yeah, but he's throwing what would be a 50-50 ball if the guy is 6'3". But you still don't throw to three people. Like, I saw that, and I was just like, dude, is there anybody on this team that's not retarded? Like, is everybody just, like, checked out? Like, are we turning into what that media shit show that's the Giants? Like, they're all talking.
Yeah,
it's like,
I don't
dude,
know.
it's like, it's.
I don't know. Osweiler's not the guy. He's played consistently bad his whole career. Paxton Lynch keeps losing the job to Trevor Siemian, even with different coaching staffs. Siemian has given you Siemian has given you over the course of 21 games. He's given you at least 16, at least fairly good games, not perfect games, but fairly good
Right.
to build upon games. And yet, that's the guy they want to get rid of. It doesn't make any sense.
I'd get rid of Lynch and Osweiler. Because Lynch has been beaten out twice by a 7th rounder, and he was a 1st rounder. You're done, bro. There's no way you should get beat out by a 7th rounder. I don't give a crap. And Osweiler, you're a career backup or a career practice player or a career kiosk cell phone retailer. Not a Bronco, but keep Siemian and then bring in somebody else, either because there's so many.
Yeah, and then see what's available in the offseason. Because I'm not saying stop looking for people.
Because that draft
see what's available.
is full of a crop of quarterbacks. Plus, you got the Drew Brees, Eli Manning. You trade for him, or I wouldn't give a lot up for Eli Manning. Drew Brees, you give him a lot of money because he hasn't really slowed down yet. Who knows if he would leave the Saints organization anyways, but that group, I mean, they're projecting like 6, 7 quarterbacks to come out in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing: as it is right now, it's hard to believe that any quarterback aside from Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady would be able to really do enough to win some. I think if you had a guy like Drew Brees or Eli Manning, guys who might be free agents next year or might be on the market for trade or whatever next year. I think even if we had those guys this year, we may have another win or two, but we wouldn't be lighting the world on fire by any stretch. Not behind this offensive line and the amount of times that these guys are dropping passes and just not playing. They're not doing anything they're doing absolutely no favors for their quarterback.
And can we just go ahead and say that Elway sucks at drafting offensive players?
Elway sucks at drafting. Elway overall has sucked at drafting. Overall, he's got some good guys. Obviously, Von Miller. He's got some good guys, certainly here and there.
But all of his high picks, all the picks that are. Here's the thing: the reason why the 5th, 6th, 7th undrafted guys become so good is because he missed with the 1st, 2nd, 3rd rounders. These Jeff Hiremans, these Cody Latimers, these players that I don't know why they can't perform, but then you get guys at the back end of the draft like Danny Trevathan and Todd Davis, stuff like that. That guys come in, we got Chris Harris comes in, and he might have been actually before Elway. I think he was a year before Elway came in.
Yeah, I believe he was 1 year before Elway.
He came in with the Demaryius Thomas and Tim Tebow year, 2010.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, dude, they need to hire somebody. It's like Elway's trying to find him in the quarterbacks. Yeah. It's like, dude, you realize you're a better. He's a great player, great mindset. He was like a Jay Cutler with a better mind. Same skill set, better mind. It don't really work, man. Like,
I mean, obviously, the better mind translates to a lot of great things because
better
it's such
play.
a mental game.
Yeah,
and that's the thing is Siemian is also a mental guy.
He's a mental guy, but I think
will learn.
I'm really starting to think that like Elway's ego is starting to get into it because I mean, it's like, dude, can you draft somebody in the first? I mean, can you name somebody in the first round that he's drafted first round, other than Von Miller, that's been worth anything?
Well, I mean, let's see what happens with Shane Ray.
All right, my fault. I take that back. All right, all right.
Well, Shane Ray has not done well since he's come back from injury this year. It's only been 2 games,
My fault.
but I think he's probably got more penalties on him than he's got tackles. I mean, that might be an exaggeration.
Oh, those
maybe not.
Oh, those offside calls, yeah. And
dude.
Bradley Roby too.
Okay, Bradley Roby's been good.
All right,
and again, it's been mainly on the offensive side.
Because they'll groom Bradley Roby to take over for Aqib Talib.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. Whenever that happens,
I mean, Talib's 31.
Yeah,
dude.
And Aqib Talib got burned long on 2 touchdowns.
He's losing a step. So I guarantee.
Now I'm not. I don't know. I don't know that I'm ready to say that about Talib because this is 1 game.
No, I'm not saying that.
I mean, he and Harris have performed absolutely stellar.
Oh, I agree.
I'm
just looking at the age
outside of this game.
I'm just looking where I know, like statistically throughout the years, where quarterbacks start to regress. You're not going to re-sign
Aqib Talib to another long-term contract.
Oh, hell
that's
no.
not. That would not be intelligent at all. You want to go to Roby because Roby, I mean, he's a top tier shutdown corner probably. He's waiting to happen.
Super young.
But he also takes plays off every once in a while that we've seen throughout his career.
Oh, he does.
I think he's got to get to a point where now
that's because he's from Ohio State, dude. They always take plays off.
But our biggest problem, you're right. Our biggest problem though is defensively is defending the tight end. We just don't.
Well, unless they find somebody like Luke Kuechly, they might. I mean, do you?
We need somebody like that.
Is there really a team out there? Do you really think there's an actual team out there who's like? I mean, whenever you listen to like all sports, or even if you listen to like fantasy or anything like that, is there a team out there that actually defends the tight end that well? Anyways,
there's a few. I don't do enough research on individual matchups.
We're historically bad, but
we haven't always been.
But I think there's a lack of coverage linebackers. I mean,
yeah,
you got Luke Kuechly.
But we're the worst. But we're the worst. I mean, guys like Trey Burton. For God's sake, come on, Trey Burton.
I know.
Like I was like, oh, we might have a chance because Zach Ertz is out, and then they drop 51. Like, what the hell? Are you kidding me,
dude?
Trey Burton.
Dude, they could have had Christopher Reeves after the horse accident out there catching passes, dude.
Stephen Hawkins would have done.
Stephen Hawkins would have had 300 and 400 yards, dude, on his computer.
Dude, they could have legitimately fielded Stephen Hawkins and Christopher Reeves, their 2 tight ends. They would have been just as productive.
Oh yeah. Oh, I agree with it.
100%, dude.
I was looking for him on fantasy. I was like, oh, Ertz is out. Oh, where's Hawkins? Let me see if I can get Hawkins on my team.
I mean, it's so ridiculous how bad we are against tight ends.
It's terrible. It's almost.
But and even against backup tight, it doesn't matter what the tight end is. If he's in the tight end position, we're not covering him. Period.
He doesn't even need to have arms. Just throw it through his face mask. We're not going to be anywhere close to it.
Dude, it's true. It's embarrassing, but and I think obviously we're not a team that's going to give up 51 points on defense. I think the team gave up. I mean, you see, we were down 17-3, like 7 minutes into the first quarter. It was just like, and then they started getting all these penalties when they were trying to get good jumps, and then they're just like, you know what, screw it, like this is over.
Yeah, and then
Osweiler's not producing.
no,
Dudes are dropping balls.
that-
50-50 balls to Isaiah McKenzie in triple coverage. Like it's just like there's like screw it, we're done. I don't think on a typical day they would ever give up 51 points. This defense is
and then
still elite.
and then Miller's out there
But
saying
they just lost heart, man. How do you not lose heart
Miller's out there saying that offensive or what do you call it encroachment calls or taxes against sacks. He's like, we'll stop doing it, bro.
I mean,
yeah,
I don't know.
He's
It's just. I mean, we're just gonna be in. Oh my gosh, dude! It's hard to watch this team.
It is
right now, and it sucks because you see like in the first two games the offensive line overperformed. They performed beyond what their typical ability is, and you saw like when the offensive line is playing, at least average.
Yeah.
You can see what the offense is capable of.
Oh, for sure.
They're capable of it, but I don't care how good your skill players are, how good your quarterback is. If nobody's blocking, it doesn't matter.
Very true.
It doesn't matter. I mean, it's just the offensive line is where it starts. If those guys cannot block anybody, I mean, you could have literal toddlers and they would get to the quarterback in less than 2 seconds. It's just ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
And I don't see it getting better. I really don't. I mean, Watson being on IR now, I don't know if that's even much of a loss. But who do we go to now?
Yeah, I don't know. We haven't got much.
Like Donald Stevenson has been inactive for almost the entire year, and I can't remember that guy's name that filled in for Watson the game that he went out. I can't remember his name, but he was probably worse than Watson. And so, I hate to say that at 3-5 we're in a lost season. But I legitimately think it would take like in 2011 when Tebow was guiding the team and we got to the playoffs at an 8-8 record because of how bad the AFC was.
Right.
I think it would take that in order for the season to be like salvageable in terms of making the playoffs. It would take the AFC being so bad that 8-8 gets us into the playoffs.
No,
and that's saying that we would win 5 of our last 8 games, which might be a stretch.
I mean, it could be a stretch. Just I'm trying to think if it. I don't really think it'd be a stretch. Yeah, I do because that quarterback play and that offensive line is.
I mean, if the offensive line was playing well, like it did the first 2 games, you see how well the offense can play and how well Simeon can play when he's not trying to take over the game, when he's playing within himself.
Right.
And feels confident about the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
I think even Brock, because our defense is so good that if the offensive line was playing well enough, I think even Brock Osweiler leads to a few wins. I still think Simeon's a vastly better quarterback than him, but I think the offensive line is that important that even Brock Osweiler could probably do well enough to win some games if the offensive line was playing well enough. Obviously, I'm still saying go back to Simeon, but the offensive line truly is that important.
No, I agree completely.
And if it doesn't come around, again, you can throw Lynch out there, or Osweiler, or Chad Kelly with with one arm. It doesn't, just you could throw anyone out there. It's not going to matter.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, and so I've made my points very clear about Simeon, I like Simeon, and I think he's shown a lot of promise. I mean, at the beginning of this year, we're talking like not only Pro Bowl, but we're like, we were talking even on this podcast like, oh, this dude might be, the guy, and
mm-hmm.
So because he's got a streak of bad games, now we're saying cut him, let's get rid of him next year. It's just, again, I think it's ludicrous. It might be somewhat emotional based or whatever, but I think it's absolutely stupid for us to be talking like that, for anyone to be talking like that.
Mm-hmm.
If his sample size was those 4 or 5 games, or if that had been generally how he played, I would be agreeing with everybody on that. But that's not generally how he's played. So I think it's absolutely retarded. But with that being said, I also recognize that, you should never stop looking for a quarterback.
Right.
You should never stop looking for a quarterback. It's just like, Green Bay had Brett Favre. They still went and found Aaron Rodgers. You should never stop looking for a quarterback. So that being said, obviously, like you said, you mentioned there's like 6 guys that are projected to come out of the draft in the first round.
Right.
And I think we do got to draft somebody. Again, I still think we should be giving him some more opportunities. Let him play the whole year, see how it goes.
Right.
But I still think we should draft somebody because it doesn't look like Paxton Lynch is much of anything.
Nope. He got beat.
We know Osweiler's not.
He got beat up.
But do you think that do you think we should go for an older quarterback, a veteran like Eli Manning? Let's say we could get Eli Manning. Let's say they fall into a rebuild mode. Eli Manning's like 37. Would you take him on like a 2-year deal?
Yeah, I'd take him on a 2. But see, the weird thing about him is he's not a free agent. He's still got to trade for him.
I understand that. I understand that I understand that it would be a trade unless they cut him.
So I wouldn't be mad if we got him, but still at the same time, I mean,
offensive line needs to
perform because, I mean,
yeah.
I know he lost all of his weapons besides like Ingram and Shepard, which that sucks. You lose Brandon Marshall, which, God rest his soul. I think his career's done.
Yeah.
You lose that maniac over there, and Odell Beckham Jr. He's got weapons with us, but got to have an offense. Got to have. He could get away, but you got to think. When he was getting away from Patriots in 2007, that was 10 years ago. It was 27 years old.
I understand, and I understand. I'm not saying
Right.
that he's like this super supreme elite guy that's gonna carry us to Super Bowls, but I think the defense is gonna carry us to Super Bowls.
Oh yeah.
As long as we have competence in the offense.
Oh, I agree with that. Totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you look at Eli Manning's numbers this year, even without those guys, he still has a higher completion percentage than his average.
Yep.
He has a better touchdown interception ratio than his average.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like he's playing bad. He's just on a bad team. I mean, truthfully.
Yeah, I mean,
he's just on a bad team. And what we need right now more than anything is a guy that doesn't turn the ball over. And Simeon was that guy for a little while before he started to do everything. Started, play outside of himself.
True. And everybody, a lot of people are going to say Drew Brees, man. He's a better leader than
I would.
But
I would like to have Drew Brees, but I wouldn't take him on more than a 1 or 2 year deal.
And statistically, he sucks outside of a dome. We don't play in a dome.
No, I understand that, but is that more based on home away, or is that actually because of dome?
You never know, because he played well when he was with the Chargers, and that's not a dome either.
Exactly, but he also played in San Diego, in 70-degree weather every week.
That's
so
Qualcomm Park.
That's that's not really a straight comparison. I like Drew Brees. I certainly wouldn't be mad if we got him.
Yeah, neither.
Just another legend for Simeon or whoever, Paxton Lynch or whoever we draft. Just another guy, a legend for those guys to learn behind.
Yep.
But I don't think that's realistic. I think Eli Manning is kind of realistic because if they enter into a true rebuild, then why keep him at his age?
I mean, I don't think we're at the point of a true rebuild because we're one position player. Well, I get quarterback away from.
I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about the Giants.
Oh, the Giants.
I'm saying that I think he's a little bit more realistic because if they enter into a rebuild year, at his age, what's the point in keeping him?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
You know.
there's no point in keeping him, really. Plus, he's just
So
getting
I think it
older.
just depends on what the New York Giants decide to do in the offseason.
Yeah, really. I mean, they were talking about benching him. Like they're like, oh, what do we? I was like, yeah, what are you gonna bench him for? What? David Webb?
Now, here's something that's going to tickle your fancy. The Bengals have shown that they're willing to trade McCarron.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. I mean, that's a guy. I mean, I like Simeon a lot, but
I don't know.
that's a guy who I certainly wouldn't be opposed.
I wouldn't
to,
be
going and
opposed,
grabbing.
but there's not much of a sample of AJ McCarron other than him at Alabama, and yeah, he did win 2 championships.
Yeah,
So did Tim Tebow.
yeah. I mean, championships in college are one thing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really the best indicator.
I mean, if they haven't. Here's the thing. I like AJ McCarron. I thought he was a great quarterback in college. He got great moxie. Has he could throw the ball deep. He's like Alex Smith. He's a game manager. Here's the thing though that kind of scares me off about AJ McCarron is why the hell were the Bengals willing to trade him off for what we know, to the Browns?
We don't know what they were
when
gonna get for.
Andy Dalton has been literally the worst quarterback in the league this year, but below statistically the three worst quarterbacks in the league this year: Andy Dalton, Trevor Siemian, Deshaun Kaiser. What's that say about AJ McCarron? That he can't even take over that job. I don't know.
I mean, true, but I think they're sticking with Andy Dalton because, again, it's an outlier compared to his career.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense, I think it's a big reason because it's an outlier as opposed to his career. But that is a fair point. McCarron doesn't have a huge track record in the NFL. I think, again, I would take Simeon over McCarron. I think there's always a pipe dream of guys you haven't seen much.
It's like people. It's like people reaching out, like what happened this last week, where, if it might work out, might not. Where Garoppolo went to the 49ers for a second round pick. There's not much tape on him. There's 2 games from last season. And statistically, that's why I was talking to a Bronco fan. They're like, man, we should have gone after Garoppolo, dude. We should have gone after Garoppolo. I was like, yeah. You tell me right now the backups to Tom Brady that have been anything but busts.
Yeah.
He's like, what are you talking about? I was like, you want me to start naming the list, dude? Don't make me start saying Matt Castle. Matt Castle was good for 1 year under Belichick, dude. The best quarterback honestly, like statistically wise, the best quarterback underneath Peyton Manning, under Tom Brady's been Jacoby Brissett this year for the Colts.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. They haven't had many guys behind Brady. But let's shift back to the Broncos a little bit, and you can hate me all you want for doing this, but I really want to do this. Not even a month and a half ago, not even a full month and a half ago, there was a article on Denver Post, and I gotta give credit where credit is due for this. It was written by, let's see, Nikki something. I'm sorry, I cannot pronounce her last name.
Is that on Twitter?
Habvala or something like Habvala?
Is that what
it
it is? On
anyways,
Twitter?
Anyways.
I know her.
This is on Denver Post. I just said Denver Post.
She has some on Twitter too. I know what you're talking about.
It says after 16 starts, this is less than a month and a half ago. After 16 starts, Broncos quarterback Trevor Siemian defying the 7th round stigma.
Right.
was 2-0 at that point. The Broncos were. He is tied for the league with 6 touchdown passes with numerous plays made in those first 2 games, elite type plays. And I'm scrolling down here, and I just want to just. And he came back from surgery, obviously. He's tied with Frank Tripucka and Peyton Manning as the only Broncos quarterbacks in history with at least 24 touchdown passes in their first 16 starts with the team, with the Broncos. And I'm looking at his first 16 game numbers, okay? Now these are not perfect numbers. But this is a 7th round pick who's still 23 or 24 years old, who didn't have a run defense or a running attack last year to help him. He was through 16 games he was 10-6, led him to a 10-6 record with a 60% completion percentage, which could be better, but not the worst certainly. With almost 4,000 yards, 3,851 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. So twice as many touchdowns and interceptions. That's through his first 16 games of his career. Okay, this is a 7th round pick who had virtually no expectations. And that's his first 16 games. Again, 60% completion, almost 4,000 yards, 24 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 10-6 record.
Right.
And we're willing to bail on him because of 4 bad games. I'm sorry that I keep coming back to this issue, but it's an issue. It's an issue that 4 bad games are enough to say, hey, this guy's done. I mean, you see guys who got, 32 straight bad games and we're still given more opportunities. But this guy has 4 bad games with after producing like that, and everyone's done with him. It's just, I feel bad for the guy.
No,
I feel bad for the guy.
No, I feel bad for him, and I mean, I think I know he knows, where he's,
He knows he's played bad. I mean, this is not me denying that he's played bad. But if those are not good enough to earn you a team sticking with you through a few bad starts, then what is?
I mean, he does have better numbers than Brock Osweiler. Because what's the touchdown? I think I looked it up early, not today, but weeks ago. I think Simeon's like 27 and 20 for touchdown interception, and I think Osweiler's
I
think Osweiler's 27 and 21. So I think there's a one. So give it to Simeon, dude.
But who's won the games? Who's thrown those touchdowns in fewer games? And has had a 10-6 record. Now it's, I think, 10-11 record. I mean, you think about,
give me a second. Hold on.
8 of those interceptions have been just this year alone. He only threw 12 last year, and those 4 bad. Again, I'm not denying how bad he's been. I'm not denying how bad he was in those 4 games, but I do think that it was more of his bad play was more a product of him trying to do too much because of how bad the offense was than it was him actually being that bad.
I think they have, for being a starting quarterback, I think they both pretty much have about the same track record. Because you remember,
I disagree.
No, not the same amount of games almost. Because you got to think, okay, what, 2016, 2015.
I mean, I guess it's near the same amount of games.
Because they both.
It is near the same amount of games.
They both went down with an injury. Well, he got benched. Simeon went down with an injury.
Yeah.
No, I'm not denying. I think that Osweiler should be. I mean, not Osweiler, but I think that Simeon should still be starting.
Yeah. Because we looked at Osweiler, he didn't do any better.
No,
If he had done better and we had won that game or whatever, then I'd say, okay, cool, let's go with the hot hand.
I'm not.
But
I'm not a Simeon truther. I think he's a good quarterback. He's young. He's raw. I wouldn't even. He's not raw. It's not like this raw talent that you're like, oh my god. I mean,
no, he's a guy who makes up for his lack of physical. I mean, he's pretty mobile, but he makes up for his lack of. I mean, he doesn't have the strongest arm. I mean, he can get the ball down there, but he doesn't have the strongest arm and the most zip on the ball. But he's got the mental side.
He's got the mental
side. He's smart. Even in the in Kansas City game when he wasn't playing well in terms of passing, he was checking us into great running plays, and we produced in the running game again that game with many of those great chunks of yardage coming from audibles that he made at the line.
You know what I thought was kind of comical though?
What?
Is when last week with Osweiler, why was he trying to pretend like he was Peyton Manning? Why was he, dude? Every play, dude, he was calling, he was, pulling hot routes, dude.
I think Osweiler realizes how bad the offensive line is too. To be honest,
he probably was, but I felt like he was like I think he had like PTSD, dude, and like he was just watching like his mentor. And he's like, dude, I'll never know what the hell he's pointing at. So I'm just going to start pointing at people. Because every time he pointing, it didn't matter. With Peyton Manning, when he pointed, we knew what was up. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like you got him drawing people.
He's found something.
Yeah, but you got Paxton over. I mean, not Paxton, but Osweiler over here, pointing over here. Yo, come on down this way. Push back out, dude. It's like, I was like, dude, just get the ball off, dude. You're not Manning. You'll never be Manning.
Yeah. Yeah, and another thing is I was talking about those 16 starts. I mean, you look at John Elway, who we all know the legend that he became. John Elway, let's see, 50% completion percentage in his first 16 games. 2,400 yards, 10 touchdowns, 21 picks, 56 quarterback rating. We stuck with him because he was a first-round pick. Period.
Yeah, the only person out of that '83 draft that was any good really was Dan Marino. I mean, when he started off his career, like Dan.
Oh yeah, like immediately.
Dan Marino never fell off. Dan Marino just
I get that. No, but
forever.
But and again, Simeon played terrible his 4 games, but I'm just saying that body of work should earn him more than what he's got. Like, oh, you've had some bad games, so we're gonna move away from you. Oh, the guy we replaced you with had a really bad game. We're gonna stick with him, even though he doesn't really do much in his history either. It's just ludicrous. Anyways, I've been talking so much about this Simeon situation, the quarterback situation. I just don't even want to talk about it. I just keep,
But it's the most frustrating part of the Broncos,
of
what like a normal Bronco fan would see. Like, because I'm in Bronco, like I get invited to these Bronco fan clubs on like Facebook. They're like, oh my god, dude, you want to be a part of the Bronco fan? I'm like, all right, whatever, dude. I'll be in there, and then like your timeline will just read down. They're like, so when Brock was coming in, they're like, dude, we have to have a difference. Dude, it's got to be something different. We got to go with Brock. I'm like, dude, are you guys on drugs? I'm like, do you understand that you guys are just hyped up about Brock Osweiler?
Yeah.
And then after this last game, all these people were doing the same post. It's like, dude, damn, we got to give Trevor Siemian another shot. I'm like, are you guys psychopaths?
Yeah.
Like, dude, you knew what we had with Brock Osweiler. You already knew it. It's not like you're like, oh, shit, dude. He came back and he's just going to start. He never slanged the ball when he was with us. We had C.J. Anderson was running out of his mind at the end of the year. Yeah, awesome.
No, we had this stellar defense getting turnovers
Yeah, dude.
every other
Our
drive.
yeah, our defense killed everybody.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, this ain't even the same team. I mean, the defense is kind of the same. Minus a TJ Ward, a Danny Trevathan, and stuff like that. Those guys are gone.
Mm-hmm.
But
Obviously.
it's like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, oh, so you hated Simeon last week, or you didn't hate him? You're like, oh, we just got to make a change. So then you're like, you know who you're changing to. This is not like changing to that number 2 pick that's just seething at the mouth. Like, I got this. This is my team. You're going to Brock Osweiler.
Yeah.
Who literally said that he would have signed with the Broncos to be the water boy.
Mm-hmm.
That's your dude,
Well, hey,
bro?
Yeah.
Okay, dude.
Here we're approaching the hour mark, so we gotta cut this out. But I do wanna kind of just get,
You want to talk, Pat?
I guess, a
Wanna talk?
pulse. I guess a pulse of this game that's gonna be happening. This
Easy.
podcast is gonna be released on Saturday. We're recording it Friday night.
Yeah.
Of just a pulse of what you're feeling is gonna happen in the game on Sunday. Do you have any kind of prediction?
I mean, I got a prediction. I will give it to Brock Osweiler. The last time we played the Patriots in a Bronco uniform, we beat
He
him.
won,
It was
and that was his first NFL start.
Was it his first? Yeah, it was.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, in snow, which it could be. It's
Mm-hmm.
in Denver. You never know.
That's true.
It's probably, if it's snowing where you're at, it's probably snowing in Denver.
Yeah.
C.J. Anderson was running like a beast in 15.
Yep.
But you got to understand, Gronkowski's gonna have like 8 catches for like 130 yards and 2 to 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. If Simmons doesn't play well against Gronkowski, the game's already over before it begins.
Because they're already talking about Hogan's out. Chris Hogan's going to be out. So that means Danny Amendola is going to be in.
I'm not worried about receivers. I'm fine. We have coverage guys to cover receivers.
Yeah. Their receivers don't catch. Well, Edelman murdered us 100 times. But he's out. He blew his leg out. But
well, what's your prediction for the game?
For the game, my prediction is I will give the Broncos the win in this game.
Okay.
24-20,
Okay.
24-21. Only because
the season's on the line.
Only because not even the season's on the line, but we are Tom Brady's kryptonite.
Mm-hmm.
3-7. Bring it.
But that's more often than not with a decent offensive performance.
But our defense just there's something about.
No, I think our defense handles its business against them, but with the way that
He's only getting
the
older,
offense has been
dude.
playing, he's not showing it. The way the offense has been playing, I don't think it's going to matter how. I think if they score 16 points, they probably win. I like that. I want to believe it, but I don't. I don't think Denver's going to win this game. I think this is going to be. And again, this is talking against my heart right now because
You gonna blow out?
certainly don't want this to happen. But I think we lose this game at home because I'm sorry, I just don't believe in the offensive line at this point. At home, I know.
Mm.
I'm aware it's at home.
At home.
And I think we score maybe 17 points. No, I don't even think we score that. I think we score 13 points, and they win it 20-13. I think. Unfortunately, that's what I think. That's what I believe. I hope I'm wrong. I really, really, really hope I'm wrong.
Hey, we at
Um,
least scored 23 points on the second best defense in the league.
yes, but do you also realize that one of those touchdowns was on defense?
Yes, I do. But
Yes.
here's the thing:
And
their
garbage
running
time
backs,
prevent defense.
aren't that good.
They have, but dude, they have good receiving backs.
I know. I don't want to see Rex Burkhead out there, dude.
Yeah, they're gonna.
That's like a second.
And,
That's
and
like
I
a
mean, that's
second
just my
tight
prediction.
end.
Hey, Ian, we gotta cut this short. We've hit the hour mark. I just want to say a quick shout out to Demaryius Thomas, who's going to be starting his
100th game.
playing in his hundredth consecutive game for the Broncos, dating back to October of 2011. I think 22nd or 23rd of 2011, when Tebow was the quarterback.
Let's hope it's another win, another 100-yard, and let's get him back on the touchdown stat.
Get him in the end zone again.
Again.
For second week in a row. So sorry about my spiel and rants about the Simeon stuff.
Yeah, you did talk a long time, bro. It's all
yeah,
good.
I apologize. I apologize for that.
You're
But
good.
it's been boiling in me for a couple weeks now.
All of us.
From Ian, from myself, and from Kevin, who is not with us right now, we thank you for listening, and we say go Broncos, and we'll talk to you next week.